It's Friday night, which means it's time for another episode of the Friday Night Nicktoons podcast. I'm Ashli.
And I'm Casey. Last time we looked at the Rugrats episode, Together at Last. It was an adorable Phil and Lil episode. Hope you guys all had as good a time with that one as we did.
We also put out our weekly Twitter poll asking which color Reptar doll you would rather buy, purple or green. You guys pretty overwhelmingly said green with 69%. Only 31% said purple, which I know, Casey, your school pride might have been hurt a little bit by that one.
Oh yeah, it's time for my big reveal, right? We were going to check in on this. I did stick with purple. I stuck with my gut. And I prefer that I picked the one that less people picked. So I don't want your basic Reptar.
You know what? I like the people's Reptar. I like a Reptar that I can relate to, you know?
Absolutely. Fair enough. But not one of our most exciting Twitter poll questions, so I think we're good to move on here. This week, we're looking at our first Hey Arnold episode of 2018. We have not touched this one since the Jungle movie. We're looking at Stoop Kid, the immortal classic.
Yeah, I was shocked when I realized we hadn't even talked about this one yet. It deserves to be covered. It needs to be covered, and we're getting to it now. As always, be sure to follow us on Twitter at FNN_podcast and Facebook, facebook.com/FNN podcast, and review us on Apple Podcasts so that others can find the show. Also, make sure to check out our YouTube page. We got one of those now, got some interaction going there, so lots of ways to find us.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Now let's get started.
From the Nicktoon Animation Studio in Hollywood.
So, as Casey said, our episode this week is Stoop Kid. This is from Season 1, Episode 8B, originally aired October 30th, 1996.
And in this one, Gerald tells the legend of Stoop Kid, a kid who lives on his stoop and harasses the passers-by without ever leaving. When Arnold proves Stoop Kid is afraid to leave his stoop, he feels sorry for him and helps him overcome his fears. In the end, Stoop Kid leaves his stoop but continues to stay there and Oh, this is a terrible summary. I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna keep this all in the episode. We're rolling. But I can do this better. I'm gonna channel my inner Jared and tell the legend of this episode, right? Basically, Arnold kicks a football into Stoop Kid's stoop, and they're trying to get it back, and then Arnold, the protagonist with the heart of gold, ends up, trying to get Stoop Kid to leave his stoop, not just for the football, but as this sort of moral challenge, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how Arnold always takes things, right? There's somebody who's struggling, and he decides that he wants to step in and help, and Stoop Kid is no exception to that. He very much wants to make his life better. And to be fair, at first, he is just scheming to get his football back, right? He really does just want it back. And then he realizes, wait, if Stoop Kid won't leave his stoop, that means that I can steal the football. I guess not even steal, right? Take the football back, and he won't be able to chase me if he doesn't leave his stoop. Which, I kind of was surprised that nobody thought of that sooner, right? But
yeah, it took a while. Kid logic. They're stubborn. They get locked in their ways.
I guess people just kind of thought he really liked to stay on his stoop, but people didn't necessarily want to gamble on that he wouldn't leave his stoop, right? But Arnold takes that plunge.
He sure does. And this is an episode that it felt like we had covered on the show, but we hadn't. It's just your quintessential Hey Arnold episode. It has truly everything. It's got most of the kids. It's got a lot of the adults. No Grandpa Phil. But it's got so many other of the main players. It's got, a classic tenet of Hey Arnold is introducing a one-off character who's really, weird and interesting. So it does that. It's all around just a wonderful episode. But I am interested in talking about why it became a meme like it did throughout this episode, Ashley.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say. It's hard to really get behind the memes, right? I think part of it is one. This is a pretty early episode, right? This is season 1, so we're kind of at the beginnings here, and it's just such a funny concept. Like, just there's a guy who refuses to leave his stoop, and there's a couple of funny things, right? Like, Stoop Kid won't leave his stoop, or whatever it is that the headline of the newspaper says. Like, the idea that this is the talk of the whole town, it kind of brings into view just what kind of a town we're working with here. It's just this ridiculous concept. I think it just sticks with us. We've got Stoop Kids afraid to leave a stoop. Like, we've got the chant. There's a lot of things that I think just build this into meme material here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, but why this of all the memeable Hey Arnold moments? And I guess there aren't many of them, and it is catchy, especially the chant.
Yeah, I mean, but it's gold. I also love there's a few things. I'll always have to give Gerald his props for his quality tellings of the tale, but there's a couple of other moments that
Always.
just feel so Hey Arnold to me. One is when Arnold first decides he's going to get Stoop Kid to leave his stoop. We have this wordless, like, there's no spoken dialogue, just this montage with your classic kind of jazzy Hey Arnold music going, and sort of you can feel like the increasing defeat, if that makes sense, just in the music itself, right? Like, he's trying to lead him off blindfolded, and that doesn't work. He tries to lead him off with a bowl of ice cream, and that doesn't work. And you can feel just sort of the giving up over time, like him being
Yeah,
like, what
it comes
can
kind
work?
of right. The music starts slowing down and getting more kind of desperate. Always a great score in these episodes. I do love the sort of framework of this episode where they're all playing football in the street and they keep yelling car whenever a car comes. That really took me back. And, the tale starts because Arnold kicks the football onto the stoop. And at the end of this long-winded story, Arnold goes, "So what's the point?" And Gerald goes, "The point is, Arnold, you aren't getting your football back."
It's good stuff. Oh, there's another, and this is, I think, more specifically early Hey Arnold, but we get one of Arnold's weird trippy dreams happening, and I feel like this happened a lot, the dream sequences in early Hey Arnold.
Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly all of what happens, but I know that he's tiny and the football's giant and Stoop Kid's like evil and whatever. But it's just one of those things that brings you into the Hey Arnold universe as it is.
That's a good point. I'd never thought to distinguish that in terms of like early versus later Hey Arnold, but you're right, that is such a thing. Arnold having like weird stress dream type situations.
Yeah, and I could be wrong. It might happen later too, but I feel like it happens in the highest concentration towards the beginning of the show.
Right.
Also, I feel like I need to pose the question: How does How does Stoop Kid get food? How does he get fed? And Casey threw down the joke of Grubhub in the notes, but like delivery places aren't super common back in the day, right? And even if they are, you need a landline to get to them because cell phones aren't really popping
Right.
around yet. So,
Yeah, we didn't
so
see
what?
him
How
have a
is he
phone,
okay?
did we? Maybe he just yells at bike delivery guys to be like, "Hey, give me some of your food."
And they're all too scared
I don't know.
to tell him no. Maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
man.
he does kind of bully everyone else into whatever he wants.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, I know earlier they show that he has an apple tree, so he could have had some apples, but that's not sustainable. Anyways. But what eventually does get Stoop Kid to leave, and I love this moment, is Arnold shows him some famous buildings that happen to have stoops. Or not even exactly, but kind of, and Stoop Kid's just like, wow, that's the most amazing stoop I've ever seen. Like, it's just so funny to me that his entire character is just caring about stoops.
Yeah, that was so clever. Yeah, the pyramids and it kind of like really interesting that, and this is very early on in the show of Hey Arnold, kind of as we were saying, and we see the decision by the show creators to make Arnold this, like, smart, crafty, but, like, deeply empathetic character. And, you know, because why does he even go out of his way for this kid? He could have just gotten a new ball. It certainly would have been easier to get a new ball. But for Arnold, it's not about the ball. It becomes about helping someone conquer a fear.
Yeah, and you know, we also get another thing that I think happens pretty frequently, is that after Arnold goes through all of his effort and, you know, the entire town gets together to watch Stoop Kid leave his stoop, and it's breaking news, and it's the whole everything, there's signs and all. Afterwards, Stoop Kid realizes now he can harass people from his stoop and off of his stoop. And it's funny to me because Arnold's like, well, that's not exactly what I was getting at. And, you know, I feel like that happens a lot, where best intentions, and he kind of does what he was setting out to do, but not exactly how he thought it would happen, right? So he did want to get Stoop Kid to leave his stoop, but he thought maybe he wouldn't do it to harass people constantly. But, you know...
Yeah, right. It's, he certainly doesn't have a profound change of character in this episode, but,
And I kind of like that, you know?
It's the one goal. Yeah.
It's kind of realistic.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a little unrealistic, like, he leaves the stoop and then he becomes a world adventurer and now he's a nice, great person. Like, that'd be taking it a little too far. I feel like there's some realism there that, like, you know, he's made a small change, but he's still just Stoop Kid at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's something in his essence that will not change even once moved by Arnold and his kindness, which is kind of great. Yeah, it's not... The show doesn't make Arnold have this, like, Midas touch on everybody where he fixes everyone's problems. Sometimes there's... People are the way they are, but even a small step is a step in the right direction. In this case, a literal step off of the stoop.
Yes. As I step right off the stoop. I don't know if there's anything else huge to point out here, but I just do love this episode. I love this show. It just has this great feeling. There's this feeling for just nostalgia. I don't know. I can't put it any other way. You just get excited. The kids playing in the streets, them being obsessed with these weird, quirky characters. It's so Hey Arnold, and it's so fun. And like you said, it really does set up Arnold as the protagonist that he is, as this really caring, empathetic protagonist, but kind of also giving him an understanding of that, you know, he doesn't have this perfect, amazing world he's living in either. You know, it's a good balance.
Absolutely. There were a lot of cute little moments in this episode, like when they all gather around Stoop Kid, like the fact that this is a cultural event for everybody. Like, the mailman tells Mr. Green first, because he overhears Arnold, and Mr. Green flips his meat shop sign where it says, open to back in 5 minutes. So that's hilarious. And then we see this giant crowd gathered around the stoop. There's a sign that says goodbye stoop, and then a little later on there's a sign that says hello world.
Oh, it's great.
The fact that people are bringing signs to this event cracks me up.
And it's kind of great, right? Because Hey Arnold definitely in a lot of places does have that big city kind of feel, but I feel like it's almost like they're a tight-knit neighborhood within this big city, right? Like, everyone in this area knows about Stoop Kid, and it's a big enough deal that the butcher needs to stop his work for a minute. It's that whole concept is just hilarious.
Absolutely. Lots of cute moments like that, and that's, you know, Hey Arnold is not the funniest Nicktoon in the world, and it doesn't try to be, and no one claims it is, but it's impressive that it's had such staying power. It's been 22 years, roughly, since this episode came out, and here we are still talking about it. It's as relevant as ever, and it's a testament to the show that it was able to survive without a ton of uproarious laugh-out-loud comedy. It thrives on these little moments.
Yeah, and it's not just a funny show, right? Like, there are kind of slightly funny moments, but a lot of the moments that really stand out to you are the things of, I don't know, just the interesting stories. Like, you're enthralled with what's happening, right? Like, it has just the right amount of real to it. It's not really trying to be a comedy, right? That's not what it's really going for. It's just kind of going for I don't know, bits and pieces of this neighborhood and their lives and what they go through, and it does that so well.
Yeah, yeah, it sets out exactly what it's supposed to do. It's a 10-minute episode, but it accomplishes a lot. There's not a ton of plot to discuss if it isn't obvious, but I think it's a good chance for us to revisit our favorite Nicktoon and show it some love, because we certainly oversaturated you guys in Hey Arnold over the last year in 2017, so it was worth stepping away from it. Hey, the show didn't perform too well in Nick Madness, but it had a lot of characters represented in the tournament, deservedly so, and yeah, we're showing it a little more love this week because it's always a good time for Hey Arnold.
Yeah, it was something we needed to get back to. And all in all, this is not my absolute favorite Hey Arnold episode, but I do think it just sticks out in your memory. It's one that everyone knows, everyone loves. And, you know, even if Nick Madness doesn't always give it the love that we think it deserves, I am always happy to give Hey Arnold a little bit more love. So, you know, glad that we brought it back. Maybe not quite as excessively as we did in some months, but
right.
It was good to watch it again.
Right, and see a Gerald Legend again. We haven't seen one of those in a long time.
Yeah, for sure. It's been, I mean, since the Gerald's Legends episode, I think. I don't think we've covered any of the other little legends. Maybe we did. But also, this was one of the first shows Casey and I really watched together. Way back in high school, we would get together and just watch Hey Arnold episodes. So I feel like, for that reason, too, it just has a special place in my heart. So, anything else you want to add, Casey?
You know, not particularly. No, I think we've pretty much covered it all. It's a very simple, neat little episode. I'm a fan.
Let's move on to our conclusion with our Twitter poll and a preview for next week.
Alright guys, our Twitter poll for this week is: which is the greatest stoop of all? The Spanish Steps in Rome, the Pyramid of the Sun in Mexico, or Stoop Kid's very own Stoop? It's a tough one.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
These are some world-class stoops.
and can Stoop Kid's stoop really match up to that? We'll have to see.
I love it.
Next week, we decided we will be discussing the original Jimmy Timmy Power Hour. You know, the most ambitious crossover of all time. Way more ambitious than this Infinity War thing people are talking about.
You guys know we love our memes. We're hopping on the Infinity War train, but with our own crossover event.
And I do want to give some credit to my brother Josh. He sent out a tweet a while back of that meme referencing the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, and that's kind of what came to mind.
Right.
So
that's right.
Gotta give credit where credit is due.
So this will be a fun one. It'll be our 9th Nicktoon-related movie we've covered on the show, which is kind of a lot.
Yeah, this is a good one, too. We've talked about it for a while. It's a fun one. It really was a huge deal as a kid that Jimmy Neutron,
it was an anticipated
Fairly Odd
event.
Parents.
There were commercials for it for like 2 months. Do you remember that? It felt like it was the only commercial that was on.
The hype was real, and I watched it the night it came out too. I'm pretty sure. I remember staying up for this. Too. It was a big deal.
And I don't know if I've watched it since.
Relive that excitement. It will almost definitely. Well, you know what? I'm actually not going to say that. Let's hope it lives up to the hype.
Maybe it'll live up, but I'm very excited. It's going to be super jarring, especially to see Timmy in that wonky 3D animation, so really looking forward to that one. Alright guys, our social media, we've got a Twitter, we've got a Facebook, we've got an Apple Podcasts account, and we have a YouTube, so keep following us and interacting with all of us there. Also, you guys keep sending us Avatar titles, so we have
sort of a idea here, just to fill you guys in if you missed out last week. We're going to be, in a few weeks now, doing every other episode will be either a normal Nicktoon episode or one of the episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and we're going to go through the whole series. And we want to sort of have a fun little name for those Avatar-related episodes. We've got a few of them in, but keep sending them as you think of them. And as always, thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.